CitizenCon Direct is over, and with it, the StarSim community received a ton of updates about developments coming in the near future. While most of what we saw was very exciting, there were also a few things that raised my eyebrows. Therefore, in today's video, I'll be covering the good, the bad, and the ugly of this year's edition of CitizenCon. Alright, let's start with the good, and there's plenty to talk about. The first thing worth mentioning is, of course, Nyx, which looks phenomenal. And yes, Levski is back in all of its glory, and the Delamar asteroid is going to be more than just a simple rock in space. It's highly detailed, and Levski seems beautifully integrated through and within it. I can't wait to visit it, or perhaps even call it home, as I'm sure many of you will too. It's not just Levski either. The planets and the overall spacescape look stunning and unique compared to what we've had in the game so far. The gameplay will also offer something for everyone, whether you're a miner searching for riches in the system's vast asteroid belt, an FPS fighter, or a spacer making a living blowing up ships. Speaking of which, I was thrilled to see that the Vanduul are finally going to make their presence felt in the verse after so many years. As suspected, they will launch incursions in the Nyx system and we'll be able to fight them off. I've been waiting for this for years, and it won't just be limited to those incursions. The Vanduul will also be part of a new Sandbox activity here, and events as well taking place around the system, adding a unique flavor to the experience. Unfortunately, it seems that our interactions with them will be limited to ship-to-ship combat as of for now, and it doesn't look like we'll be fighting them on the ground just yet. There could still be some last-minute surprises though. Nyx will also introduce the first interstellar missions, something that has been missing from the game since Alpha 4.0 launch. For the first time, we'll be able to travel from one system to another and get paid for it. This will initially apply to cargo hauling missions, but in the future, I don't see why it couldn't extend to other activities like bounty hunting. The other part that really impressed me was Genesis, also known as Planetary Tech V5. The Genesis planets are truly going to look realistic. To be honest, Star Citizen's planets were already the best we've seen in space games so far, but this new tech is going to take them to a whole new level, especially with the way different biomes blend together and the sheer density of assets, which will make landscapes that were previously impossible to achieve, like deep forests or a wide meadow, a reality. We were also told that the new tech will be able to take planets to a new scale, but unfortunately the devs have remained rather vague, so we won't really know what it's going to be. But I do have some expectations here when it comes to scale. For example, I hope that we are going to see planets at a true 1-to-1 scale instead of the 1-to-6 scale that we currently have, which, let's be honest, makes certain moons around the standard system or even in Pyro look rather minuscule. This is something that the community has been asking for a very long time at this point, and I think that it will be phenomenal to see planets and moons finally looking like they looked in their concept arts back in the days. Next, let's talk gameplay. And it looks like Sandbox activities are back on the menu, with Nyx taking them to a whole new level. We're going to have to infiltrate bases to uncover mysteries, but not just that. We'll be able to perform some impressive space mining by taking control of mining bases that crack open asteroids, allowing us to gather valuables that we were told will bring in significant amount of money. I'm loving this. The possibility for us not just here to get curated gameplay, but also emergent content like piracy are going to be countless, and this is exactly where the game shines the most. But most importantly, these new sandbox activities will encourage various types of players to work together. Pilots will be able to perform some dangerous close flybys to take down power generators and defenses while holding off enemies. Ground troops will have to be dropped in to take control of facilities. Miners will come in to collect resources, while haulers can swap out mining bags and bring the full ones to a nearby refinery. Star Citizen offers so many ways to play, but often separates players by activity, and it's precisely this kind of gameplay design that has the potential to bring everyone together. Of course, it wouldn't be a CitizenCon without talking about ships, and while I think that it could have been better here, more on that later, there was one ship that particularly stood out for me, that was the Shiv. It's the Star Citizen universe of what would be an ugly in the Star Wars universe, a mix of several ship parts put together to make a brand new ship. These chimerae usually don't turn out very well assembled, but with the Shiv we could be looking at an exception. Not to mention it's based on the Cutlass, which is my personal favorite ship in the game, but that one also is quite notorious for its lack of durability and medium firepower. The Shiv seems to improve on those aspects and even include something resembling a toilet, which the original ship lacks, and I found that absolutely hilarious. Crafting was also given a significant update, and it seems that we will have a tech preview of the feature before the end of the year. At the beginning, crafting will focus on FPS gear and possibly ship weapons. It was confirmed that we will have to use raw materials that we will have to collect, and these will come in different qualities, with the best giving the best properties for the final result. We will use a crafting machine to craft, and these machines will be transportable, so we'll be able to use them in our hangars, but also bring them in our ships. We were not told if we would lose them if our ship is destroyed, but we'll probably have to assume that it will be the case. There was no word on the in-game price, but given the economic potential of those here, I would expect them to be rather pricey. Finally, we were confirmed that PvE servers are somewhat coming to the verse from a certain point of view, and these are going to take the form of instances, which are going to be made possible by the progressive arrival of dynamic server meshing. As far as I'm concerned, I personally do not like actually liking this, as I would prefer Star Citizen to be a game where PvP should happen everywhere, but unfortunately, human nature being what it is, I have come to the conclusion that CIG has indeed no other choice but to separate a few select areas from the rest of the open universe in order to avoid some of the most extreme behaviors caused by a tiny fraction of the community. So the way this will work is simple. When players arrive at an instance area, like a specific mission or maybe a bar, the game will open a new server where the player and eventually their party members will be placed inside. There, they will be able to engage in the content that's specific to the area without having the risk of being griefed by players who would have just gotten there with no other goals than just killing anyone on sight. While it is regrettable that we have come to this highlights the progress made with dynamic server meshing, and it is a clear indication that we are getting closer to more dynamic and complex gameplay situations that would not have been possible beforehand. So, now we've covered the good, let's talk about the bad. First, 2 hours was of course a little short. I understand that the developers are very busy bringing all of that content and getting version 1.0 ready as soon as possible, but as a result, the format lacked the detailed explanations and presentation that we had in previous physical CitizenCons. One particular segment that felt lackluster to me was the ship segment, which could easily have been an Inside Star Citizen episode. While I loved the ships, I was disappointed by the lack of reveals and the lack of visible progress on what is currently being worked on. We could have had some sneak peeks of the reconceptualization of the Hull B, some progress on the Kraken, or even the Perseus in action, but we did not get any of that, so let's hope that we'll see more of these at the IAE. I was also disappointed that we didn't get the reveal of what were the silhouettes that was shown last year, especially the Baby Corsair, which looked very intriguing. I wonder if CIG actually quietly cancelled it though. Another thing that was disappointing was that we didn't get to see any progress regarding Castra, and we had absolutely nothing about Terra. For Terra, a couple of new concept images would not have hurt in my opinion. As for Castra, I think it would have been nice to see an update on the development of the system, and I guess we'll have to wait for next year's CitizenCon for that. Last but not least, I really did not like that CIG broke their own lore once again regarding Nyx 1. While the planet itself looks gorgeous, in my opinion it should have been in the Castra system. Nyx 1 is supposed to be a planet that is too close to its sun to be inhabitable and therefore should have been a desolate, barren world. I think CIG missed an opportunity here to bring us both Nyx and Castra together, but instead chose to put that planet in the Nyx system where it does not belong. So there was not really anything truly ugly apart from a blatant lack of mention of StarSim. I mean, it's been half a decade since we last heard of it at CitizenCon, and quite frankly, I know that CIG did mention that they are waiting for dynamic server meshing to be implemented, but I really think it would have been nice to have at least a little nod. I was not asking for much, but even that we did not get, and it's not reassuring. I just hope CIG have not completely tossed Tony Zurovic's work in the bin, because it looked so promising, and a lot of players are very impatient to see it make its way into the verse. So this year, CitizenCon Direct gave us a lot to see, and they were definitely exciting moments. Nyx looks phenomenal, Genesis raises the bar for planetary tech, and the new Sandbox activities show real potential. But there were also disappointments that cannot be ignored. Missing ship reveals, zero update on Castra and Terra, and still nothing on StarSim. This event reminded us that Star Citizen is still incomplete and full of unanswered questions. CitizenCon Direct gave a glimpse of progress, but also showed just how far there is to go before the game lives up to its promises as we continue our journey towards the release of version 1.0. And so that is all for today's video. If you enjoyed the content, as always, please let me know with a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like those. Tell me in the comment section down below what your thoughts are about this CitizenCon Direct. Were you happy with it? Disappointed? Did you find it lackluster? What do you think of instances as well? Do you think it's good that we're going to have our own servers for certain activities that are going to be the closest thing we'll have to PvE servers? Well, let me know in the comment section down below. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, a big shout out to my Patreon and YouTube members without whom I would not be able to do all of this, such as, for example, Dr. Frobin, Tokar Tassisius, Shadowrise, Ducky to Ducker, and Zero Crusher. I have been Irad, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.